With the two-day assembly session starting today, leader of the opposition in Delhi Assembly, Vijendra Gupta, said that his party would compel the government to discuss the problems of Delhi's citizens. The Aam Aadmi Party and BJP are braced for a spirited assembly session on Thursday and Friday, which will be Atishi's first as the Chief Minister and Arvind Kejriwal's first as only a legislator since 2013. The Me Too storm in Kerala film industry reaches top court's doors. Prominent Bollywood actor Siddiqui, who is on the run, moved Supreme Court seeking anticipatory bail in a sexual harassment case. Amid the unending row over adulteration of the Tirupati Prasad, YSRCP Chief YS Jagan Reddy will visit Lord Venkateshwara Swami Temple at Tirumala Hills and offer prayers on September 28th as part of the statewide temple rituals called by the party to atone for the sin allegedly committed by Chief Minister N. Chandrababu Naidu through his allegations on Tirupati Laddus. President Draupadi Murmu visits the Siachen base camp today, marking her as the third Indian president to visit the highest battlefield in the world. The previous visits were made by former presidents APJ Abdul Kalam in April 2004 and Ramnath Kovind in May 2018. President Murmu also interacted with the troops posted there. Israel-Hezbollah violence further escalates. Hezbollah targets Mossad's headquarters in Tel Aviv for the first time. Meanwhile, hundreds of people flee southern Lebanon as airstrikes continue. The Embassy of India in Beirut issued an advisory notice strongly advising against travelling to Lebanon till further notice following the recent incident of airstrikes and blasts in communication devices. They have also advised the Indian nationals residing in Lebanon to leave the country as soon as possible and further advised the people to exercise extreme cautions and remain in contact with the embassy, who have to remain there amid the escalating situation. The Israeli military released footage of what it claimed were strikes on Hezbollah targets. The army said in a statement that it struck approximately 75 terror targets belonging to the Hezbollah organization in the area of Bekaa and in southern Lebanon overnight. Lebanon's Prime Minister welcomed efforts by France and the United States to secure a ceasefire between Israel and Hezbollah. Najib Mikati threw his support behind the French-US proposal for a 21-day ceasefire to allow negotiations in the escalating conflict that has killed more than 600 people in Lebanon in recent days. Addressing the Security Council, he warned that the conflict would end up including the whole of the Middle East if it is not addressed without further delay. The United States distanced itself from Israel's stepped-up attacks in Lebanon shortly after the Israel army chief hinted at a ground invasion against Hezbollah. They confirmed that the U.S. military has no involvement in Israel's operations. The Pentagon has urged de-escalation in the fighting between Israel and Hezbollah as the death toll continues to rise.
A de-escalation happen, and you're seeing engagement from.
As the Israel-Hamas tension escalates, Iran is calling on the UN Security Council to fulfill its duty in maintaining global peace. Deputy Foreign Minister Kazem urged Council members to pressure Israel to stop its military actions in Lebanon and Gaza. US President Joe Biden announced a declaration of support for Ukraine's recovery and reconstruction during the UN General Assembly, where he joined Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen. The US will reveal new actions to accelerate Ukraine's rebuilding efforts as the country continues to defend against Russia's invasion. The gathering highlighted international unity in supporting Ukraine. Panama's president addressed at the UN on the ongoing humanitarian crisis in his country, highlighting that over 500,000 migrants crossed the Darien jungle last year. He stated Panama today is the new border of the United States, emphasizing that many migrants are seeking a better life in the United States. Molino called for international assistance, noting that Panama lacks the resources to manage the migration crisis effectively on its own. Police are investigating what appears to be a gunfire damage at a Democratic Party coordinated campaign office for Vice President Kamala Harris. The incident occurred just a few days before Harris is scheduled to visit Arizona as she campaigns for president. Shots were fired through windows at Vice President Kamala Harris' campaign office. Workers in the office called the police after discovering the damage. Japan's ruling Liberal Democratic Party will vote on Friday to select a new leader, replacing outgoing Prime Minister Fumio Kishida. While the vote is limited to party members and lawmakers, the winner is expected to become Japan's next Prime Minister as the ruling coalition controls parliament. With a record 9 candidates, the outcome is uncertain. A record 9 lawmakers are competing for the position, making the outcome highly unpredictable. A man set off an explosive device in the lobby of a California courthouse, sending 5 people to the hospital with minor injuries and prompting the shutdown of the court complex and other city buildings. A 20-year-old man was detained following the explosion that was reported shortly. As sharp disagreements continue, Alabama is set to carry out its second nitrogen gas execution using a new method that replaces breathable air with pure nitrogen, leading to death by oxygen deprivation. Alan Miller, convicted of killing 3 men in 1999, is scheduled for execution. This follows a settlement in Miller's lawsuit challenging the method. Alabama previously executed Kenneth Smith using nitrogen gas in January. Smoke rose from Rome's Regina Coeli prison as inmates protested overcrowding by setting fires. The prison, built for 626 inmates, currently holds 1,170. Flames were visible from the nearby Gianicolo Hill, with prisoners shouting freedom. Overcrowding and understaffing are ongoing issues in Italy's prisons, sparking protests at several jails this summer. World Bank has announced a $3.5 billion support package for Bangladesh during a meeting with Chief Advisor Professor Muhammad Yunus at the UN General Assembly. This funding will back the interim government's reform initiatives, particularly in the financial sector. Of the total, $2 billion will be new lending, while $1.5 billion will be repurposed from existing programs. The support will focus on digitization, liquidity, energy, and transportation reforms as requested by Professor Yunus. Sri Lanka's new president, Anura Kumara Dissanayake, said that he will soon resume discussions with the International Monetary Fund and foreign creditors to plot a way out of the worst economic crisis in the country's history. Dissanayake had vowed to reopen negotiations with the multilateral lender over its $3 billion bailout. Heavy rain and strong winds hit Cuba as Hurricane Helen passed near the island on Wednesday, bringing winds and intermittent rain to the western region. Havana experienced milder weather with no reported damage. Forecasters warn the storm will strengthen as it heads toward Florida, while coastal areas in Cuba remain under sea surge warnings. Japan successfully launched a rocket carrying a government intelligence gathering satellite. The H-2A rocket launched by Mitsubishi Heavy Industries Limited lifted off from the Space Center in southwestern Japan, carrying this optical satellite. And now shifting our focus to the world of sports, where Team India is gearing up to take on Bangladesh in the much-awaited second test. After an impressive win by 280 runs in the first test match, the men in blue in Kanpur will be looking to wrap up the two-match series with another convincing victory. Off-spinner Nishan Paris is making his test debut for Sri Lanka in the second and final test match against New Zealand today. 27-year-old Nishan is one of the two notable changes made by the Lankans from their 63-run win over the Kiwis in the first test. Meanwhile, it's good news for England fans as skipper Ben Stokes is reportedly on track to feature in the Three Lions' upcoming Test series in Pakistan. The star all-rounder has been on the sideline for a while after suffering a hamstring tear in August this year. In football, Manchester United's Europa League campaign kicked off with a disappointing 1-1 draw against FC 20 at Old Trafford. After taking the lead just before half-time, the Red Devils failed to stay ahead as a silly defensive error helped FC 20 draw level 20 minutes before full-time. Meanwhile, Liverpool came from a goal down to thrash 10-man West Ham 5-1 in the third round of the Carabao Cup. The victory sets up a mouth-watering tie between the Reds and Brighton in the fourth round of the competition. And Real Madrid have confirmed that star forward Kylian Mbappe suffered a thigh injury during the side's 3-2 win over Alaves. The Frenchman's availability is now a major doubt for the upcoming derby against city rivals Atletico Madrid. The All India Chess Federation, on the other hand, has announced a whopping 3.2 crore in reward for the historic Olympiad-winning Indian teams. While each player from the winning teams will receive 25 lakh, the captains of the men's and women's team will be rewarded with 15 lakh each as well. And Japanese tennis sensation Naomi Osaka started off her China Open campaigning with a convincing victory. The four-time Grand Slam champion outclassed Italy's Lucia Bronzetti on straight sets to book her spot in the next round. And days after Lapata Ladies was named India's official entry for Oscars, another hard-hitting Hindi film with strong female protagonists makes the Oscars cut. United Kingdom names police drama Santosh as its official entry for Oscars 2025.
ऐसा क्यों करेंगे वो?
आप लोग भी हर चैनल पे छाए हुए हो, बधाई हो। हाँ, बहुत बढ़िया, डटी रहिए दीवान जी।
Devara Part 1 featuring Junior NTR and Janhvi Kapoor is set for a theatrical release on September 27. Advance bookings have begun with ticket sales already surpassing 50 crore globally, indicating strong potential for breaking box office records.
आखिर कौन थे वो लोग? ना जात ना धर्म, डर जरा सा भी नहीं.
As Devara movie gets ready for its release, the second episode of the new season of The Great Indian Couple Show will feature Devara Part 1 stars Junior NTR, Saif Ali Khan and Janhvi Kapoor as guests. Ahead of its premiere on Netflix, the makers of The Great Indian Couple Show dropped a fun promo on Instagram.
जब नॉर्थ और साउथ मिलते हैं तो मजा डबल हो जाता है।
मुझे 5 मिनट से लग रहा है कि मुझे बिठाएंगे या ऐसे
Veteran actor Anupam Kher, celebrated for his extensive career spanning over 500 films, recently made waves by sharing his CV on LinkedIn. Through the CV, he offered an insightful look into his professional journey, highlighting not only his acting prowess but also his life's philosophy and personal challenges. Interestingly, he labeled himself as a struggling actor. And after the success of Call Me Babe, Bollywood diva Ananya Pandey is back with another interesting story. Netflix unveiled the trailer for her upcoming film CTRL. Vikramaditya Motwani's directorial depicts a cutting-edge thriller about our rising dependency on technology. The trailer shows Ananya as Nella Avasthi and Rihan Samat as Joe, a couple who create content together and are popular on social media.